Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Huddle, Week 9 of high school football all across Ohio State. I'm Dave Bacon, along with Dan Lobby from Cleveland.com, Nate Cline from Cleveland.com. Guys, the playoff picture is starting to take shape. Some big games that will affect the playoff picture as we move forward.
Yeah, this is always an exciting. Like the playoff games kind of start now. Some teams have clinched. Some other teams fighting for spots. Teams fighting for home field in that first round. There's a lot on the line this week. And on top of all that, conference championships on the line still for a lot of teams.
Yeah, and I can't wait to get into at some point. We're going to start talking about some of these matchups where who's going to determine who's going to be able to clinch a conference or a league title this year. There's going to be some newcomers that are going to be facing those. And then also some of these playoff situations. Some teams are right now on the bubble. They haven't been mathematically eliminated yet. So right now they're going to be kind of some big cheerleaders out there of teams that want to get in. So
let's take a look at the games that we are keeping an eye on and tracking here in Week 9. And you look at it, and one of the big ones, Canton, McKinley, and Massillon, Perry on that bubble in Division I, Region 1. Basically, it looks like it's going to come down to Perry or Solon to get the final spot in the playoffs in Division I, Region 1. Amherst and Avon, Eagles just keep flying high. Interesting one out in Mentor as Euclid takes on Mentor. Hoban and NDCL, a North Coast League battle. Another interesting one, Lorain and Bedford. Lorain, Division I, Region 2 really needs that one. Bedford, Division II, Region 5. Pretty secure with both those teams 7-1 on the year. Olmsted Falls taking on Avon Lake. Falls coming off that big win over Midview last week. Bay and Revere, another one that we are keeping an eye on. Hudson and Twinsburg, another important game. Hudson trying to lock up a playoff spot. You look over Parma and Rocky River, and then small schools that are very, very good, and it's developed into quite a rivalry. Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights. Kirtland in Division 6 this year. Cuyahoga Heights in Division 7. So this is the lone time the Hornets and Cuyahoga Heights will get battling. Dan, as you look at this, which one kind of grabs your attention? What one are you really focusing in on here?
I'm looking at Euclid Mentor. Division I, Region 1. Mentor has, at least according to Joe Itzel, clinched a playoff spot. Euclid controls their own destiny. Mentor still playing for that home game in round 1 and playing for seeding as well. Euclid has a new quarterback. Aubrey Shabazz is playing quarterback, transferred in this year, and can handle the position very well. Ronald Lee, really the guy to watch there. How's he going to attack that Mentor defense? And then for Mentor, Tadarunas, their quarterback, coming off a game where he threw 4 interceptions, but they were able to win the game. We know what that offense can do. It's going to be interesting. A lot of points in that football game, and Mentor's run defense is going to be tested.
Absolutely. And in this game in particular, I'm actually looking at Euclid in this game because they gave up a lot of points last week to a Brunswick Blue Devils team. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to come out in this game. And Mentor's coming off a very dramatic game. We saw it here last week in Week 8. So this game is really interesting. And then also just for that conference title, I mean, who's going to really have it for grabs? I have an idea who I think might, but I think it's just going to come down to trying to limit the mental mistakes here.
That was a basketball score last week.
Yeah, they scored 70.
78-54. I mean, that's how those two teams would play a basketball game.
They gave up a lot, but they scored a lot. They scored more, 78 points, putting it on it. The game that really intrigues me is Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights has developed into a really good small school rivalry. And when you look at it, a lot of respect, mutual respect. Cuyahoga Heights, we heard the players after they beat Kirtland last year during the regular season. They were praising the type of coach Tiger Laverty is and the program for Kirtland. You heard the Kirtland players praising the program for Cuyahoga Heights, and there is a live look in Kirtland running the football, and a nice job. They're down in the red zone already as 2nd down and 5, and a good look at the Kirtland Hornets getting up to the line of scrimmage and trying to get it. Oh, nice running room there. And Dawson Cosgrove gets a couple-yard gain there. So the Kirtland Hornets doing what they do. They don't run a lot of different plays. They keep it pretty simple, and they run it really well. Dylan Fulco is their quarterback, and he gives it to the fullback, and then he gets inside the 5-yard line. So Kirtland doing what you want to do to get this game rolling, taking the ball, moving it downfield, and they're at the 5-yard line. 2nd and goal from just outside the 5-yard line. Dylan Fulco is the quarterback. Joey Torek. That's Torek, and he gets into the end zone. So Kirtland, who got beat twice a year ago by Cuyahoga Heights, take it right down the field, stick it right in the end zone, 6-0 point after coming. Again, these two teams, different divisions. So Kirtland Division 6, Cuyahoga Heights in Division 7. Great start for the Hornets, though.
Yeah, this is Kirtland's one shot for revenge. I mean, I'm sure they've been thinking about this game ever since last season. All that respect and stuff aside, they want to get revenge for what happened last season. And I'm curious to see, Cuyahoga Heights is they'll run the ball, they'll pound the ball, but they can throw it around a little bit. They've got Dylan Drummond on the outside. He's headed to Eastern Michigan. They've got a good football team that can attack through the air, and I'm curious to see what they look like offensively against Kirtland.
Nate, what game are you focusing on?
The game I'm looking at is in the Lake Erie League, Lorain and Bedford. We're going to probably get a look at that, but the reason why I'm looking at this is because Lorain won the Lake Erie title last year. Bedford, at the late end of the stretch, were making a lot of mistakes, dropping the ball a lot. They were just making some uncharacteristic things for the Bearcats offense. So the position that they're in right now, they're both 3-0, 7-1. So I mean, this should be a very good game. Should be a very tight, close game, and you're going to see a lot of athletes flying around the field. But I'm really curious about this game. Matter of fact, so
let's take a look at the Lorain Titans and Bedford Bearcats as they're underway, and
still no score in this game.
And it is Lorain with the football. 15-yard line, just outside the 15. So Lorain in the red zone trying to, they actually turned it over. It goes over to Bedford. So Bedford held Lorain on a 4th down play, and now Emmanuel Jenkins will take over as the quarterback.
Gave it back.
And they gave it right back. And Nate, we were talking about this before. Bedford turned the ball over, I believe it was 5 times last year against Lorain, and Lorain comes up with the fumble recovery. And there's a good look at the guy who grabbed it, number 8 for the Titans, grabbing the recovery. Was Malik McCall.
No,
so McCall with the
yeah,
recovery.
no, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, just looking at Bedford's history last year and just mental mistakes and them dropping the ball, that's what really killed them. And they could have been, they could have been they could have been in a better situation for the playoffs, had they avoided those mental mistakes. Now, to see Lorain and Bedford both turning the ball over early in the game is not a good sign. But obviously, I mentioned earlier, it could be a very tight game depending on how they take care of the football. And look at Lorain now.
There's Sturgill is the quarterback under center, Justin Sturgill, senior, and he'll give it to his running back, Dalen Dower, in for the touchdown. So Dalen Dower, the touchdown, gives Lorain the early lead. So they turned it over on down, so they were held on a 4th down, but the fumble recovery inside the red zone, and Lorain sticks it into the end zone to take a 7-0 lead. So McCall recovers it. Dower gets the touchdown.
And viewers can't be surprised by those 2 Titan players that you just saw on the screen there. Both of them already coming into this game. Both of them either have 1,000 yards rushing or 1,000 yards passing. So obviously you don't want to try to make mistakes against this Titans offense. And matter of fact, they were also in the region final last year. They lost. So this team is really hungry. They want to get back to that position and maybe even take it a step further and try to even get into the state Final Four. So Bedford can't make these mistakes. They can't try to get into that same situation they were in last year. So
yeah, they lost by 4 points to I believe it was Liberty, team that then went and lost to St. Ignatius in the state semifinal game. So not a good start for the Bedford Bearcats. Bedford, Division II, Region 5, they're in one of the top seeds where you would get a home game, but you keep dropping those, and there's going to be people coming up, biting at your heels to get one of those 4 seeds in a home game for the first playoff game.
And Bedford's a team that has so many weapons offensively. Just take care of the football. If you take care of the football, hand it off to Kenny Wilkins, do whatever you want to do, you're going to be able to score points. The only way you're going to stop yourself is if you do things like that, turn it over.
Yeah, and I'm not. And you're right. I'm not too worried about Bedford because I think they're going to get their points when they need to in a quick fashion as well. But both of these teams right now, they can control their destiny. But I think if they can try to help themselves, they want to try to get a home playoff game to start the playoffs in Week 11.
Well, the thing that concerns you, though, is given what they did last year, where they turned the ball over, I believe it was 5 times, they had a bunch of penalties against Lorain and self-destructed. The question becomes, do you start thinking, oh no, here we go again? Because you were riding the emotional high of turning it over on downs, and you gave it right. I mean, it was the next play. It went back, inside the 10-yard line. You're giving them 4 more downs at a minimum, and you're just putting a lot of pressure on your defense at that point.
Yeah, and we're going to see what they're made of mentally. Can you block out what happened a season ago and put that behind you and get down the field, get points on the board? Trust your weapons offensively. Trust your game plan offensively. Trust that you can score with this Titans team, but you've got to hold on to the football. And when it's something like that, the center-quarterback exchange, that's something that can get in your head a little bit. So we'll see how they respond.
The 2 great points that you guys both made. Dave, I want to bring up something that you said. We were talking about putting your defense in a bad situation. If you recall, a few weeks ago, we were talking about the Massillon game and how Bedford was getting back in their end zone, and that's how they lost that game too. So they've got to try to avoid these mistakes. And so, but again, I think Bedford is the capability of being able to try to put up points in a hurry. So we're just going to kind of just see how the rest plays out.
Well, the other game that is a big Division I game is Division I Region I, Canton McKinley taking on Massillon Perry. And McKinley is in the red zone with a 4th down coming up, and we will look in. It looks like field goal unit might be coming on for the Bulldogs as an incomplete pass deflected at the line. Zach Blackistone, that's a all-state defensive end who got his big paw up and knocked that down. And it will be a field goal attempt. So it's a 35-yard attempt. The kick is knocked right through the uprights, so McKinley, undefeated on the season, puts 3 on the board with their initial drive. Less than 2 minutes into the game, you see 10:40 in the first quarter, 3-0 McKinley on a 34-yard field goal.
Yeah, that's obviously a good start for the Bulldogs. Perry, we know how difficult they are to defend offensively, and they'll hold the football, they'll run the clock. So you want to make your possessions count when you have them, and we know that McKinley can strike quickly. They'll run the football a little bit too. Now, obviously, they were passing there on 3rd down and had it batted down, but this is going to be an interesting game. Perry in must-win territory right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're very close with Solon for that eighth spot. So if they win, that's an undefeated team. That's a 7-win team. You're going to get bumped up pretty significantly, or an 8-win team at this point. We're in week 9, but it could very well come down to, did the teams you beat end up winning in the final week of the season? And you don't want that if you're either Solon or Perry, but that's the way it's coming down. It's shaking down with those 2 teams. They're that close to that 8th and final spot. So, the prize for that is you get to play either St. Ignatius or St. Ed's on their home field in the first round. But you'll take it.
Yeah, you'll take that.
It.
Give yourself at least that 1 more week of football.
Yeah. I think what impressed me about this Massillon Perry team coming into week 9 now is that we're coming off a time when the teams in Ohio the realignment happened. Some teams moved up, some teams moved down the division. In this case, Massillon Perry moved up to Division I. They're in a very tough region they have to play in. We've talked about that in the last few weeks here. But Massillon Perry, they're sitting at a number 8 spot. If the playoffs were to start, they would be able to be in the playoffs right now. But right now, they're kind of fighting to keep that spot or maybe even move forward. Now, the bad thing is right now, if you get yourself in the playoffs, you're going to have to face a very tough team, probably in that 1 or 2 spot. So Massillon Perry, again, congratulations just in week 9 getting to this point. But now they got to see if they can try to get a share of the federal title this evening against the Bulldogs.
And, the stat that really jumps out about Massillon Perry, they're allowing less than 50 yards a game running the football against them defensively. So, by and large, if you can stop the run, you're going to be in most games. The challenge for them is going to be, can you run with the fast, and McKinley has small, fast receivers and a good quarterback. Can you hang with the athletes that McKinley is going to run out at you? And not many teams can. That's why they're 8-0.
Yeah, and Elijah Curtis at quarterback, I mean, he's going to have to win this game for the Bulldogs tonight, because if the running game is being shut down the way everyone is talking about that Perry does, he's going to have to try to win it with his arm. And now, no mistake, he has weapons to be able to throw it to. Yeah. So, what's funny was I was actually reading a story that their top receiver who has the most yards is not the fastest guy on the team. That's incredible. So they've got a lot of playmakers they can try to get the ball to, but obviously Elijah Curtis is going to have to win this game with his arm tonight, or with his legs possibly.
Well, we saw that Kirtland took a 7-0 lead, and Cuyahoga Heights trying to answer. And we've alluded to the fact that Redskins have some playmakers. There's Lucas D'Orazio. Oh, huge hole. And look at big number 7 running into the end zone, point after away from tying that up. 46-yard touchdown. And the line opened up a huge hole. They did make the point after, so it is tied at 7.
Yeah, I mean, D'Orazio at running back, Drummond at wide receiver, Ryan Polk, the quarterback, is a dual threat guy, can throw the ball and run the ball. So they're a difficult, just like Kirtland is difficult to defend for different reasons because they could hand the ball off to any of 3 or 4 guys at any given time. Cuyahoga Heights is difficult to defend because they're just really balanced. They can go to D'Orazio out of the backfield, or they can throw it up to Drummond outside.
Cuyahoga Heights, if people don't know about this team coming out of Northeast Ohio, this was the team that was in the Division 6 state final last year. So this team, it has experience. They know what they're doing. And Coach, who just celebrated his 200th win recently, congratulations to him. This team knows what they want to do. And obviously for them to be able to put up 39 points in the first 8 weeks, I mean, there's a sign of just showing that. So obviously this looks like it's going to be a very good game. It always is between these two teams. And yeah.
Yeah, they came up just short in that state title game against Marion Local, and they're down in Division 6 now. So most of those MAC teams are they're down in Division 7. Most of the MAC teams are in 6 with Kirtland. So Cuyahoga Heights down in Division 7. We'll see how that goes. We had told you that Lorain took a 7-0 lead on Bedford. Bearcats trying to rally, and they have it about the 30-yard line. And Dakota Mincy undercuts the route and takes it in for the touchdown. Another self-inflicted wound by the Bedford Bearcats. I'm telling you, Mincy looked like he knew the pattern and was the intended receiver on that. So a pick 6 for Dakota Mincy, 14-0. Lorain leading Bedford early in that one.
And this defense can score. Lorain's defense a couple weeks ago, Tashawn Leidy had an interception return for a touchdown. So this is a defense that can score points and give them an opportunity. Whew, that's bad news.
Though the Titans have playmakers all over the field. Saw them play on a Thursday night against Elyria, and they know they need this one. They're kind of in the middle of that pack. They're 5, 6, 7 in Division 1, Region 2. So they're in the other region. They're not in the heavyweight division, if you will. They're in the middle heavyweight division, Division 1, Region 2. So this one over a 1-loss Bedford team would help bump them up quite a bit, but they really need this one.
Yeah, no, Lorain is in a position where they control their destiny, and just make no mistake. Even though it's Region 2, they still have a dogfight ahead of them as well. So any of the mistakes that they were making early in the season, they've had to force themselves to try to clean those up come Week 9. And as you can see, it is paying off against Bedford right now. Bedford, on the other hand, they also control their destiny as well. But right now, Bedford is making those mistakes that we talked about earlier. They can't do this. They're getting down a little bit early, but obviously they have the opportunity. They have the opportunity, and they have the ability to be able to close that score. But right now, looking back at this right now, you're kind of wondering, kind of sitting back yourself, how are we going to get to that point, first of all? So
yeah, first of all, you got to stop turning the ball over. That's, you 2 possessions, 2 turnovers.
And one of them turned directly into points.
Right. The other one was inside the 20.
Yeah, it wasn't a turnover, and then 3 plays later they scored. One was you gave the ball to their defense, and the defense scored. And you at least, listen, all turnovers are bad. The ones where you don't even at least have a chance to come out and get a stop or something, those are even worse.
As a Browns beat reporter, turnovers.
I can rank the turnovers.
Yeah, so I mean, Lorain again coming in. I mean, they're the defending Lake Erie League title champs, and so I think the first goal is they want to try to win this title, and obviously they're getting a chance to prove that tonight. But I mean, you're giving them only a couple 30, 20 yards to cover a space. You're just helping that team. So.
Well, another team that's trying to rebound from a tough loss last week to Stowe. Hudson taking on Twinsburg. The Explorers need a win to get into the playoffs. And here is Colt Pillay to Colin Paultani, and he just high steps into the end zone. 17 yards for the touchdown, and the high step's going to get him a penalty there.
Oh, boy.
But 7-0 Hudson leading Twinsburg in the first quarter. So the Explorers need that one. They're in pretty good shape. A win here would pretty much lock up a playoff spot for them. They're in that 4-5 range, along with Bedford and Brush, and they're in Division II, Region 5, so it's kind of jammed in the middle there.
And they've got Wadsworth next week.
Yeah.
You don't want to go into Wadsworth with everything on the table, because Wadsworth is undefeated, one of the best teams in the area.
Well, we've been keeping track of Cuyahoga Heights and Kirtland, tied at 7. Kirtland, they just keep moving the football on the ground again. They don't do a lot of different plays. The plays they run really well and execute them. So Dylan Fulco is your quarterback. The back that is the featured back is Torco, but they give it to Ibecker, and he fights forward down to the 5-yard line. So Kirtland just keeps moving the football on the ground, grinding it out. And it's kind of interesting when you talk to Tiger Laverde. Doesn't do anything terribly flashy. They just do it well. And look at that. Dylan Fulco saw the split there and almost got into the end zone. So now it's 3rd and goal from the 1.
And you know they hurry up too, so you don't have time to substitute. They're wearing you down a little bit. Obviously this is lower division, so you don't have a ton of guys to substitute anyway. But you know it's a challenge defensively.
So you're at 3rd down and goal from just outside the 1-yard line. Power I formation. They bring in a lineman and they give it to Nybecker, and he dives into the end zone. Touchdown, Jake Nybecker. So Kirtland takes the lead back. This one's going to go back and forth, as you would expect when these two get together.
Yeah, I think we're setting up for a shootout. There's some big boys on that Kirtland offensive line too. Even just looking at them on a screen, there's some big dudes.
You know, one of the surprise stories that I read about Kirtland this year was that they had 8 scores in one game, and I kept saying to myself, how is that possible to do that? You know, I looked at the opponent, I said, well, maybe it's that. I said, no, but it's just, as you can see, Kirtland is just very efficient. They know how to get up and down the field. They know what they're doing. And, you know, that's just how they're able to put so many points on the board. So Kirtland right now, looking at week 9, I mean, they're in real good shape right now. And obviously this is a game that you definitely probably want to attend if you really love Cuyahoga Heights or Kirtland football. So
yeah, I mean, the interesting thing, literally, they don't have a wide playbook, but they execute the plays they have to, you know, near perfection. And that's, they focus in on the details. Block this way, turn this way, open this up. You hit the hole this way, you open, I mean, and that's why they're effective.
And even though as the quarterback you're not going to be asked to drop back and make a bunch of reads, you are still reading things. You know, you drop back, all of a sudden the line opens up in front of you. Okay, I'm going straight through there. Or, you know, you're reading what a defensive end is doing or what a tackle is doing. So there's a lot of different the quarterback still has to make a bunch of decisions. It's just decisions on whether he's running, handing it off, who he's handing it off to. It's not quite as complicated as like a Menor passing scheme, but you still have to make decisions as the quarterback.
And I'm told that Kirtland's point after was blocked. So that, in a game like this where teams are going up and down, that could very well factor into it. What it likely means is the next time they score, they're going to have to go for 2.
And I'd imagine they'd be great at going for 2. I don't know what their 2-point conversion stats are this season, but I'd imagine they are good.
Yeah, and I kind of get a sense. I mean, I feel like, you know, Kirtland, you know, if they want to do it, they can. You know, that's just how they're built, and that's just how they've been able to run. You were talking about Jake at the running back position. Is coming in tonight. Nybecker was coming in with about 857 yards coming in tonight. So I'm just wondering, you know, could he hit that 1,000? You know, mark tonight. So we'll just see what happens. We'll see how this game kind of plays out. If they, which I'm assuming they'll probably stick to the running game, but just as many touches as he gets tonight. I'll just be curious about that fact. So we'll see.
Another game that we are tracking: Bay taking on Rocky River. The Bay Rockets have been running the football effectively, and it continues tonight. Trey Segota through the hole, bounces it outside. And look at Trey Segota, 35 yards for the touchdown, and Bay with the lead on the Parma Redmen is the Rockets, or I'm sorry, Revere. 7-0, Bay leading Revere.
Bay is another team who has proved through the previous 8 weeks that they know what they want to do. They like to run the football, and that's what they're going to stick to. Now, occasionally they'll pass the ball, but they love to run the football. Trey Segota is a threat for them in the backfield. But right now they're in very good contention. I think they actually even have a share of the Great Lakes Conference title already coming in tonight. So right now they're just kind of fighting just to be able to, you know, improve their playoff spot right now and just be able to clean up what they need to come postseason time. So
just pencil in Posada for 3 touchdowns every game. I mean,
Yeah.
so he's been getting 3 or 4 touchdowns every single game.
And you know what? The line's doing the job because you saw the hole was pretty big. So a 7-0 lead as Bay leads Revere. And also on the Canton-McKinley game, the Bulldogs now up 10-0, which when you run a wing tee, worst thing in the world is you don't want to fall behind multiple possessions because there aren't many adjustments that you can make. You can pull a guy differently, you can block a little differently, but they're not going to throw the ball a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly, and especially against a team like McKinley that's really explosive offensively. I mean, that 10 can turn into 20 quickly. So you've got to make this possession here count. They have the football right now, trailing 10-0. You've got to make this possession count and come away, hopefully with a touchdown. But you got to put something on the board here.
Yeah, and Perry has so much to play for tonight with the Federal League title, getting a share of that, and then also just the playoffs right now. Like they want to be able to get themselves in a good position and prepare themselves for the postseason. Whereas McKinley, right now, I mean, obviously they want to just try to make sure they kind of stay in the mix because they don't want to get too behind ahead of some of the defending state champions from years past, and then try to stay ahead of some of these newcomers right now. So Perry right now, I think they have a lot more questions that they need to answer tonight, and they need to answer it with a win. So we'll just see what happens with the Panthers tonight.
Well, we've told you that Lorain out to a 14-0 lead. The Bedford Bearcats trying to rally, and they pitch it to Kenneth Wilkins. Oh, look at the move. Picks up a block. Down the corner. Touchdown Wilkins. Now the Bearcats went for 2 and made it. So that cuts the lead to a 1-score game and 6 at 14-8. Bottom line is they got to clean up the turnovers.
Yeah, but Kenneth Wilkins is a guy you can just give the ball to. And he'll get you that. You know, you saw that cutback. You saw a nice block. If you're wearing 73 in Northeast Ohio, you better be able to give your running back a block like that. And that's a good response there from Bedford. Yeah,
Wilkins, he's another guy tonight that could reach over his 1,000-yard mark as well. But this Bedford, one great sign to see them get on the scoreboard. We talked about it, they have the ability to be able to do it quick in a hurry. But again, so long as they don't keep shooting themselves in the foot, they should be just fine. But I'm curious who wants this league title more, and we're going to find out tonight.
Well, we are in the middle of the first quarter in week 9. We're going to step aside and take a timeout here on Friday Night Huddle along with Dan Lobby and Nate Cline from Cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. Friday Night Huddle. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
This city, this club, stands with you.
Danger from Mira! Awesome!
What you live for lives here.
The volley Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are 2 outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. for lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contebelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Have you ever lived for something? Have you ever dreamt of something? Something more? Something special? Something bigger than yourself? Well, have you? This is what you live for!
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Crew SC Match Day. Every match, 30 minutes before the kick. Delivering everything fans need to know. With live reports, unmatched analysis, club news, and more. After the game, stay here for Crew SC Post-Match. From the biggest moments to the road ahead, Crew SC Match Day and Crew SC Post-Match. Only on Spectrum Sports.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle, along with Dan Lobby and Nate Cline from Cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. One of the games we're tracking, Division I, Region I battle, as McKinley battling for a top 4 seed in Division I, Region I, in a potential home playoff game. And here they give it to Keyshawn Watson. He gets the corner, and he gets into the end zone for the touchdown. 10-0, the lead for Canton McKinley. And as we alluded to, Perry with that wing tee not built to come back from big deficits. Well, they have done that in fairness, but they
not
are
usually
they're usually a grind it out kind of team that doesn't have a lot of quick strike ability.
Yeah, so now you're down 2 scores to McKinley. It's going to put some pressure on whatever it is you want to do offensively. So they're going to have to get a stop defensively and get the football back. Yeah,
not bad for the Bulldogs to be able to get a running TD on the board, just considering the history, coming in about Perry and how their defense is able to hold runners. So, great job McKinley on that part. But, obviously Perry now needs to have an answer for the Bulldogs when they come down the field. So.
Well, we've looked at the Lorain and Bedford game. We've seen some highlights. Let's check in with Bryant Kizer. Bryant, we always send you the crazy ones. What have been your reaction to what you've seen with Bedford and Lorain?
Well, where Lorain is running the ball, they look a little more quicker. For a team that have natural grass at their stadium, on this turf, they lighten it fast. And Bedford is trying to find out to slow them down.
What's the turnovers obviously have hurt Bedford. We now see it's 20-8 Lorain leading. What has Lorain been able to do offensively?
They run the ball. They have a little passing. You know, if your name start with a D, you scoring. Dylan Dowell with a score. You got Dakota Mincy with that pick six, and their speed has kind of overrated Bedford right now. I don't think Bedford haven't seen this much speed on a team like this before. They have thrown them off rhythm.
Well, Bedford's used to being the fastest team around, but yeah, the Titans have some playmakers. We haven't even talked about Zion Cross, who is top 5 in the 100-yard dash all 3 years of his high school career, and will likely be top 5 again. He won it one of the years. I think it was his sophomore year. He won the state 100. But yeah, they have a number of playmakers, and they're back at the 30-yard line of Bedford, so they lead 20-8, and they're looking for more. Has it really been a story of turnovers, Bryant, that has really haunted Bedford?
Yeah, that pick six for a touchdown has really got Bedford off key. You know, they're down 14-0, fighting for home field advantage for the first round of the playoffs. You know, and Lorain, they coming in ranked 7th, so they need this victory too, because they 7 on the 8 teams go in, so they need this win too. A boatload of points coming.
Is there when Bedford has been able to not have the self-inflicted wounds, have you sensed they are able to move the football a little bit on Lorain, or has it just been a couple of big plays and not much else?
Yeah, Kenneth Wilkins, they star running back. He scored a touchdown. They had a 2-point conversion, and somehow they have kept Avon Johnson for breaking. He's trying to do a little break in a 60-yard run, but Lorain is well aware of his capabilities.
All right, Bryant Kizer, we appreciate the update. Like I said, that one's sure to be in the 50s because we only send Bryant to the games that have a combined score of 75 or more. So
we like to keep him there a while.
Another touchdown by the Titans.
There you go.
And Bedford's in trouble.
All right, Bryant, we'll check back in with you. So Lorain puts it back in the end zone, about to go up 27-8.
Maybe he's not going to be there a while. Maybe he's going to get a running clock. A little bit of a surprise.
First time I've been into a running clock.
Well, here is that touchdown. Nice throw by Sturgill, and incomplete. It was not the touchdown, but that was to Tyshawn Lighty is the intended receiver on that. Pretty good toss.
Yeah.
It's only where Lighty could catch it.
Yeah, he got some speedsters in his family, but no relation to David Lighty, so I don't know. He got some speed, though.
All right, Bryant Kizer, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with you at the Bedford and Lorain game. So, guys, there you have it. Bedford in a whole lot of trouble at this point.
Yeah, those early turnovers kind of coming back to haunt them a little bit. Had to play catch-up to begin with, and now they're really going to have to play catch-up. Now they've got the offensive firepower to do it. The question is can they get that Lorain offense off the field? And Bryant talked about it. They're on that turf. Sounds like they're flying all over the place right now.
Yeah, and I didn't want to start the show by jinxing the Bearcats in this, but I was looking back at their last game. Lorain won that at their place 42-7 last year. So I'm kind of wondering at this point.
It was the same type of thing. They botched a snap, and Lorain scored. They threw an interception, and that was kind of what I was getting at early when, if you're a Bedford Bearcat, it's like, oh, not again. Are we doing this again against Lorain?
Yeah, and you've got to try not to press. You've got to just go out there and do what you do best here. Even though you're trailing by 3 scores, it's still early in the game. I guess that's kind of the message you have to keep saying over and over again. It's still early in the game, and maybe you can get a couple things going your way and get back in it.
Yeah, and the defense, when you only have, so much space to work with as well, that's really tough for you as well. So definitely putting the defense in an awkward situation and and making mistakes as well. That's going to hurt the hurt the Bearcats in this situation. And right now, Lorain is capitalizing on those errors. So.
Well, one of the games we're tracking is Bay and Revere, and we showed you a touchdown run by Bay. So Bay with a 7-0 lead, and this time The Rockets are going to go to the air. A little play action. And Connor Shell finds Matt cover. He dives into the end zone, 15 yards. And the Rockets trying to stay unbeaten as they lead 14-0.
Dan, did you just say that they actually threw a rocket there? Was it a rocket? I knew you just said that pun tonight.
I did not say that, but I will take credit for it because it's brilliant.
No, yeah, I mean, the Rockets, I mean, you know, I guess probably the big surprise is just to see them actually throwing the football because they've been so accustomed to being able to run the ball and doing it so effectively. But no, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, you want to be able to work out, you know, a couple more plays as you get closer to the postseason here. But, you know, the Rockets, yeah, no surprise here. I mean, they're up right now and they're moving the ball football.
And, you know, that's what you would expect. You know, you had the Pesota touchdown run. He's going to get a couple more. I'm going to go out on a limb. Did you start him in your fantasy football?
I should have.
He's a monster inside that red zone, I'm telling you. But in all seriousness, Bay needs to keep winning. They want a home first-round game, and they want to be as high as they can get. That gives you, in theory, a more manageable first-round opponent. And remember, after the first round of the playoffs, they go to neutral sites. That's why we keep making a big deal about getting first-round game, home game. You play it where you normally play. Your fans get to come. It's, you know, it's a big deal. So.
Yeah, and Bay, I mean, you know, to their credit, I mean, they've been doing fairly well on the road as well. I mean, obviously, I mean, they're undefeated right now, so I mean, they're doing something right. But here's the funny thing, you know, if the playoffs were to start today, guess who they probably face in the first round? University School, and we're going to follow that game tonight when they play Garfield Heights. But US was another team that kind of came along in the playoffs, did really well. So obviously, playoff seeding is really important, especially now that we're in week 9. They only got, you know, this week and next week to kind of be able to help themselves in the situation. So I'm really excited. You know, I'm really excited as we get closer here to the postseason.
Well, one of the games we're tracking, Mentor taking on the Euclid Panthers. Euclid with an early lead in this one, and the Mentor Cardinals trying to rally. Tataruna steps up and throws. Floria oh, what a throw. Floria, 72 yards for the touchdown. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're going to see that one a little bit later. That was a heck of a throw by Tatarunas. The conversion was good, so 14-8 as Euclid went for 2 converted, so they were leading 8-7. Mentor scores 14-8. I'm guessing this one's going to be over as well.
You want to talk about basketball scores?
Let's head back to that Cuyahoga Heights and Kirtland game. Kirtland took the lead, missed the point after, and Cuyahoga Heights trying to answer, and they are inside the 10, actually down to the 5-yard line are the Cuyahoga Heights Redskins. You see, let's see if that point after that was blocked comes into play here.
Two teams just so efficient. I mean, I just can't believe just how many times we just keep seeing them go up and down the field. So.
Ryan Polk is the quarterback, and that's their talented wide receiver, Dylan Drummond. They're splitting out to the top of the screen. As you mentioned, Drummond's going to Eastern Michigan, and they're looking towards Drummond, and touchdown. Nice throw by Polk. So they motion Drummond, little backdoor cut, and it's delivered perfectly. That ties it up at 13, point after coming for the Redskins. And this is a team, again, they're in Division 7 this year. And they've got the big back in Durazio, they've got the quarterback, first-year starter, and they've got the wide receiver. And look at this. Yo. This is what they're trying to see is, are you going to put enough guys over there to defend it? Yeah. Once you do, they'll adjust, and they will try to kick it. And Dylan Drummond is the kicker as well, it looks like.
A little bit of everything.
Drummond's extra point.
And pretty good one, as that one will give Cuyahoga Heights a 14-13 lead. Let's see if that point after becomes critical as this game goes on. So 14-13. What it means is Kirtland's going to have to go for 2 at some point. And then, you know, knowing Kirtland, they'll probably do it the next time they score.
Yeah. And, you know, the way they use Drummond, I mean, it's interesting because he's the only receiver on the field. They bring him in motion. They kind of bring him back the other way in motion, and the next thing you know, he's catching the football. Everybody knew if they were going to throw, it was going to go to number 2. He still managed to run a good route, get open, and score the touchdown.
But, you know, the one advantage, he's 6 foot. He's listed at 6 feet, 170 pounds. and it's not like you can put two guys over there because they're tightly bunched together. So that's kind of Coach Al Martin, saying, this guy's pretty big and he's a good athlete. Who are you going to cover him with?
Let him use that body.
Yeah.
Kind of box out a little bit. Just throw the football to him.
Eastern Michigan has to be pretty proud just to be, if they were even in the stands watching this game tonight, he's like, hey, just put a touchdown on the board for us. But, 468 yards receiving this year and about 6 touchdowns. So, Drummond has been able to find the end zone. He's been able to, put Cuyahoga Heights in some very good situations. So, I'm not going to discount Kirtland in this, right, because as you can see,
never.
we talked about it earlier, they can move up and down the field. But, this is going to be a pretty great game right here, and also for the CVC title as well. So.
Well, Perry is actually making some noise against Canton McKinley, so that's always a good thing as they're fighting back, and we will check in on that in just a minute. Cuyahoga Heights, though, this is a team that couldn't get over Kirtland, finally got over them last year, did it twice. Made it to the state championship game, and this is setting up to be just one of those rivalries that you love to see year in and year out.
Yeah, and these are two, the smaller schools in Northeast Ohio. So you gotta have a lot of people coming out, try to cheer these players on, and the alumni are coming out and everything. And right now we're in week 9. I mean, they're trying to help themselves, to get set for the playoffs here, and they're trying not to make any errors. They're trying to clean up whatever they can. But Cuyahoga Heights, we even had a bold prediction to start the year. We felt like Cuyahoga Heights, was bringing back enough to maybe even make it to the state final. And right now, they're kind of proving right now against one of the best teams in Northeast Ohio that they're doing such that.
It's a good place to watch a football game, too. I like that stadium. It's kind of dug into a hill a little bit. It's a good place to watch a game. And, it's too bad that these two teams aren't going to meet in the playoffs again this year, that they're in different divisions.
Yeah, unless they both go to the state championship game, then it's okay. We're going to check back in. Bedford trying to answer, taking on Lorain. They had a touchdown called back with a holding penalty, but they're inside the 5. Wilkins feed. Nice hit. Coming up and saying not so fast is the linebacker filling the gap and knocking him down. And got to find
but look at that. But I mean,
Lorain
but they need to cut into that lead right
Cairo Smith, the middle linebacker,
shows you
how you feel.
To get around him here.
So you're looking now at the ball is inside the 1 after Cairo Smith came in and knocked down Wilkins. Go the same. There's no need to change that formation. Wilkins again, and this time into the end zone without any problem. So it's 28.
Flag 9-7 came in late and gave him a push in the back.
So it's 28-14 point after coming.
Second touchdown.
So the question is, what will they do with that penalty? But
you know what? A good job to respond. Bedford down 20, cuts into it.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. You get that opportunity, you've got to take advantage of it, put points on the board. It's going to be 28. At least 28-14. Maybe you go for 2 here, make it 28-16, whatever they decide to do. But you needed to get points on that possession, and they did it.
And again, the concerning thing is you had a holding penalty that negated a touchdown. So those are still those self-inflicted wounds that have allowed Lorain to put 28 points on the board pretty quickly in this game. They're not at halftime yet. So that's a concern. And if I'm concerned about it, you can be sure Sean Williams is going to be talking about it at halftime.
Yeah, I'm sure Williams let his offense know, like, look, we can't have these mistakes again. You can't put you can't put our defense in these situations. So, Bedford, great job answering right now, but they still just have this hill to climb right now and try to close this lead here that Lorain has. So,
and they went for 2, missed it, so it stays 28-14, and that's no harm, no foul on that. Now you're two touchdowns, 2-point afters away from tying it up, but all that's moot if you don't take care of the football and start playing some defense.
Well, all Coach Williams has to do is point up to the press box and say, see Brian Kizer up there? We're going to have a lot of points coming. A lot of points coming tonight.
That man only comes to games where 80 points combined are scored. So
but I'm pretty sure that Sean Williams also challenged his guys. He said, look, these are last year's league title winners last year. So, I mean, what are you going to do about that? Do you want this title or not? So, you know, and the way you got to do that is you got to be able to try to limit those errors that you were making early in the first quarter. But there's still plenty of time in this game. But, yeah, should be a great game for even a title game, and try to improve your playoff standings here. So,
yeah, without question, you know, that's one of the things that you're looking for. Well, Massillon, Perry, trying to get back into this as they were down 10-0 in the first quarter. They go for it on fourth down. Baker throws it, and it is a heck of a throw, as coming up with it is Nicholas Groves, and then the touchdown run is taking it into the end zone for the Perry Panthers is Jaron Curtis. So it's now 10-7 is the score. And a good job by the Perry Panthers. Didn't panic. They throw the ball on fourth down, and you see McKinley was surprised because you don't expect them to throw the football. And a heck of a job by Baker, Max Baker, that quarterback that led them to the state championship game last year, came up with a big throw. And
the way you get back in a game is you take a turnover and you turn it into points. And that's what Perry did there. They got an interception off McKinley, marched right down the field and put 7 on the board.
Jaron Curtis comes in last week, had 123 yards and 4 touchdowns last week. So obviously this is a name that we're probably going to hear a lot about tonight, and I'm sure that McKinley knows about them as well. But I don't know if anyone else caught this, but man, you can tell just some of the little eye contact they were having and some of the little extra hands pushing. This is a game. This is a really tough game. I mean, this is a game that they know how important this game is. And I just love to see that. I mean, we talked about it earlier. I think it was like a Minner and Illyria play or something last few weeks. But, boy, I mean, this is a really aggressive game, and so I just can't wait to see how this kind of plays out for the Federal League title. So.
Well, you know, the challenge for McKinley is going to be, can that defense stop, for Perry, is can that defense stop McKinley's offense? Nobody's really been able to do that at this point. Now, the turnover, that's one of the ways. If you can't stop them, if you can turn it over enough, that helps.
Yeah, you know, it's the bend but don't break, right?
Yep.
You know, maybe they'll gain some yardage on you, but if you can force some turnovers, hold them to field goals. So they've held them to a field goal. They've forced a turnover. Of course, they've given up the touchdown too. So defensively, maybe you're not thrilled with what you've done if you're Perry, but you've done okay. You've held them to 10 points, and you forced a turnover.
Let's check back in with Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights. Kirtland inside the red zone again, trying to answer, and they're just kind of standing still, waiting on us.
Slowing it down.
There you go. They were waiting for us to join them. So Kirtland from the 2-yard line, fourth down. So it's 4th and goal, or 4th and 2. They can actually get a first down, and now they're going to call the timeout. See, do we really want to do this down a point? So kind of interesting dynamic there is 4th down, and they were at about the 3-4 yard line. They needed to get to the 2 for the first, so it was 4th down and 2.
Yeah, kind of a big moment here, but there's going to be a lot of points in this game. Yeah, I don't know what Kirtland's kicking game is like. Maybe they would rather take their chance on 4th down here instead of kicking a field goal. So curious to see what happens.
Yeah, and Coach has to feel pretty confident about his football team. I mean, they should be able to run the football, but, you know, obviously against a Cuyahoga Heights team and a CVC title on the line as well, you know, you want to probably be careful of what you ever do here. So, but yeah, no, it's going to be a very tough call. Not tough call necessarily, but it'll be a challenging call of what they decide they want to do in this play.
So Kirtland trying to get back the lead as they were trailing 14-13 after the missed point after. You know, the Perry Panthers getting it done too. As they McKinley was driving, they got a turnover. So there's the turnover thing again as well. And they come back, and we are ready to go. Kirtland, 4th down.
We're going to get that more than 90% of the time.
Probably closer to a yard. Power eye, Fulco, the big quarterback, keeps it. Flag comes in from the back judge. He has the first down.
This is interesting.
Yeah, let's see what the call is on this one.
That's exactly what the call is from Kevin Selecki.
Oh, it's a sideline warning.
Okay.
All right. Pick the flag up, put it in your pocket, and go back and play. So it's first and goal from the 1 yard line. So
now they're walking the ball back. So I wonder if this is the second.
Kirtland. Not only does that cost Kirtland.
I'm wondering if this is the second time they've gotten
another sideline warning.
Now, if you're the Hornets, you might really think about kicking a field goal here.
Oh yeah, they did. So they
so that must have not been the first time.
So they back it up to the 8-9 yard line, and now you are going to try a field goal. So a field goal attempt, ball spotted at the 15 yard line. It'll be a 25 yard attempt, and Cuyahoga Heights calls a timeout. The wheels are turning at Cuyahoga Heights.
You got to keep your sideline under control if you're Kirtland.
Wow,
I mean it's a crowded sideline though, especially for a Division VI school. But you got to keep it, keep it under control.
I don't know that I've seen many of those. I've seen a lot of the warnings,
like the initial warning,
right? Yeah. But I don't know that I've seen too many where they actually cost them 5 yards,
especially that early in a game. Usually it's the second one to get it that early in the game. Bizarre.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I'm going to love watching this game as we get down the stretch because eventually they're going to start playing chess with each other. Like, what are you going to do in this situation? What are you going to do in that? So, no, this is, not. I mean, the penalty. That aside from that, this is still going to be a very challenging game for both teams here. So,
one of the games we are keeping our eye on is Olmsted Falls and Avon Lake. Austin Opfer is at that game. It's at halftime already, and Austin joins us on the phone. A quick first half, Austin. What's going on with the Bulldogs and Shoremen?
So far, it's been a tight one, and Avon Lake has really shown their defense when it's counted. First quarter, didn't see a whole lot of action. We were scoreless, but Olmsted Falls took 2 drives inside the 20, and Avon Lake got an interception. And then another possession, they mishandled the snap, and that took them back. And then it's turnover on downs. Avon Lake, then they scored on a Jack McCulloch 2-yard keeper, and that was after a great pass on a play action that they took down to the 3-yard line. He found Cole Strafe. Unfortunately, the ensuing kickoff, Michael Lauer took it 96 yards, and that's where we sit right now at the half, 7-7.
How has the Bulldogs' running game been today? It was really effective last week. How has Olmsted Falls run the football in this one?
Yeah, I'd say Avon Lake has really been able to hone down on that. I mean, coming in, Olmsted Falls, 5 guys, over 300 yards rushing, and so far they haven't been able to get much going. The defense has really stiffened when they've had to, especially when Olmsted Falls has been able to get into their territory.
What about Avon Lake? What really has kind of jumped out about the Shoremen in this one?
I think it's just their ability to move the ball, especially through the passing game. They had another pass into the end zone that Strafe couldn't hold on to, and that would have been another touchdown. But so far, they've been able to move the ball, and right now it looks like it's going to be a good finish to this one.
All right, Austin Opfer, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with you. Mentor and Euclid doing battle, and we saw the long touchdown pass from Tadas Tatarunas. Here is Shabazz throwing deep. Trayvon Lindsay catches it right in stride. And Lindsay having a big night, his 3rd touchdown of the game. And Trayvon Lindsay is a heck of a wide receiver for Euclid. Had a big game against the St. Ignatius Wildcats earlier in the year as well. And as we look at the score, 22-14 Euclid on the strength of 3 Trayvon Lindsay touchdown receptions with the lead.
I'll go ahead and start. I think it would mean so much to Euclid to win the title this year, just considering the last few years. Jeff Rotsky coming to that program, numbers are up for the program, so I think they would really love to be able to get a title here and then also be able to set themselves up for a good playoff spot as well, but we'll see.
Right, so a few weeks ago, Aubrey Shabazz came on to play. He came in for C.J. Hale, and we were talking about him a little bit. I get a direct message from him on Twitter a couple days later. He's like, hey, I play quarterback at VASJ. I put up some big numbers. I think we're seeing that right now. So, so message received, Mr. Shabazz.
But you know, boy, I mean, even though they have a lot of playmakers, they're still missing Shabazz kind of floating around in that offense and the slot receiver and everything with C.J. Hale out.
Well, Hale, yeah. I mean, you're missing Hale, who's a playmaker.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of a double hit because, you know, Shabazz is a big guy that they were playing in the slot, and that, even though he's not playing quarterback, teams have to be aware their slot guy can throw the football. And he has.
yeah. I mean, it does take a playmaker off the field, but to have that ability to just move a guy over to quarterback because he's played that position before and be able to continue to run your offense and kind of, look, it's always that next man up mentality. You want to build a program like Coach Rotsky has been doing at Euclid, you're going to have guys ready to step up and make plays for you.
And boy, and I'm just looking at that this Mentor Euclid matchup because one, I mean, obviously somebody wants that title, but then look at the situation with the playoffs right now. Mentor is at number 3, Euclid is at number 5. That could be a really shakeup right now, and then you got McKinley hanging around in the middle as well. So this is a very important game for both teams, and then also you're going to probably have some cheerleaders cheering for Perry as well to try to knock off McKinley tonight as well. So.
Well, one of the games we're tracking is the Bedford Bearcats. They're down 28-14, trying to get back in it against the Lorain Titans. Emmanuel Jenkins to Davion Johnson. He caught it as he was so quick. He ran right out of the screen into the back of the end zone. Point after, no good, though. So 28-20, and it remains an 8-point lead as they're already approaching 50. We ain't at halftime yet, so Bryant Kizer might get 100 on that one.
You know, and only because you guys said something. That's why it's happening.
We jinxed him.
He's always going to those games. We didn't jinx him.
But Davion Johnson had 302 receiving yards against Copley. 302 receiving yards in a 32-minute game.
Yeah, but just look how fast they get up in the just look how fast they get up in the field and be able to put points on the board. And just think if they didn't create those turnovers early in the game, if they didn't, you know, drop the ball or, you know, throw the interception, you know, what kind of situation it could have been in right now. But, man, you know, Lorain's got to be thinking, what are we going to do now? I mean, they're ahead, but you know, we're going to see what happens. But, yeah, Bedford's just got to be able to limit those, and this should be a really good game. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see, you know, again, Lorain's offense has some playmakers as well. So let's see how long Bedford can hold Lorain's offense down as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. You know, I misspoke and said 32 instead of 48 minutes because this is going to be a basketball score when all is said and done.
Yeah, you know what? It certainly will be, and we're kind of approaching halftime at most of the games here in Week 9. And you know, one of the ones that's very interesting, McKinley, is inside the 5-yard line, trying to push that back to a you know, more than a 4-point game, 3-point game, as it's 10-7 at the current time. So, you know, that's huge momentum boost as well.
Yeah, you know, if you're McKinley, this is now you're in the situation where you can answer. And again, it's been turnovers. You know, when you turn the ball over, you can correct that. Just stop turning the ball over and run your offense. Try and get that 2-score lead going into the locker room.
Another game we are keeping an eye on, Hoban taking on Notre Dame-Cathedral Latin. Mike Peticca is covering that game, and he joins us on the phone. Mike, what's going on with the Knights and the Lions?
Well, Hoban's all but assured of its 8th straight win after season opening loss to St. Ignatius. They lead Notre Dame-Cathedral Latin 28-0 at the half. Hoban has 175 yards total offense. Notre Dame-Cathedral Latin has 0. Matt Salopek plays some strong safety, linebacker, a terrific athlete, has 4 quarterback sacks for Hoban. Wow. And, you know, they've basically had their way both running the ball and throwing the ball when they need to.
Mike, have you been impressed with the Knights' offensive line? That's a unit that's got a couple guys back that are starting, a couple guys that are D1 recruits. Have they been as good as advertised?
Yeah, they look good, but Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, the score's deceiving. You know, one touchdown was set up by a block punt. Another one was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. You know, the Hoban offensive line is starting to wear down the NDCL defensive line a little, but
I would say the NDCL defense, nothing to really be embarrassed about. It's just that Hoban has had the ball most of the time and usually in good scoring position. In fact, they also had a goal line stand to deny Hoban what would have been a second touchdown.
I'm guessing with a defense that hasn't allowed any yardage in the first half, they look pretty good too then, huh?
Well, yeah, they've given up just one play of double-digit yardage. They gave up a 15-yard pass and 5 quarterback sacks total. Let's see, as I look quick here at the stats. In fact, they have only 2 plays. NDCL offense has only 2 plays of more than 5 yards, a 7-yard run and a 15-yard pass.
All right. We appreciate it. Mike Peticca, we will check back in with you as the Hoban Knights looking every bit like the Division II bullies that they are, as their only loss is to St. Ignatius in Week 1 with a freshman quarterback starting in that game. Let's head back to the phones. Dan Gilles is covering the Avon-Amherst game. Dan, how do those Eagles look tonight?
They look dominant tonight. Any after effects from last week's close win over North Ridgeville are gone. It's been all Avon. They're up 28-0. Tony Eberhard has 2 rushing touchdowns, 57 yards on the ground in the first half. And Ryan Malloy, their quarterback, is 10 for 12 for 92 yards, and he has an 18-yard touchdown pass. So and a rushing touchdown as well. So those are the 2 individual standouts so far for the Eagles.
What about the Avon defense? How have they been playing, and what really jumps out about them tonight?
What really jumps out about the Avon defense is the way they've been containing Amherst running back Kennedy Scaglioso. Scaglioso has pretty much been Mr. Do-Everything for the Comets all year, and they've been bottling him up pretty well. And everything that they've tried to do, Amherst has even tried to direct snap to Scaglioso, but he's been held to 18 yards on 12 carries. And really hasn't been able to get anything going offensively. The passing game has been struggling as well. They've only completed 1 pass out of 7, along with an interception. So actually the Comet offense only crossed midfield once, and that was right before the end of the half. So pretty much it's been a dominating effort on both sides of the football by the Avon Eagles.
Dan Gilles, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with Dan at the Avon-Amherst game. So some heavyweights in Division II being Avon and Hoban, both in the top 10 in the state in the AP rankings, both at the top of their respective regions. They're in different regions. Hoban's in Region 5, Avon's in Region 6, Division II. Both looking like the heavyweights that they are in that division.
That Hoban defense is tough. I mean, they gave up, like Mike said, no yardage in the first half of that game.
5 quarterback sacks.
They held Padua a couple weeks ago to 10 points. That's a good offense. That's the only time Padua has been held under 20 all season. Padua bounced back and scored 31 the next week.
Well,
that's a really good defense.
They held St. Ignatius to 17.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you need to know.
Yeah, and in DCL, I mean, they're no slouch. So let's just go ahead and get that cleared up. I mean, they come in tonight with a 7-1 record. But you're talking about a Hoban team who has a lot of accolades to go along with them. They're getting, if they haven't already, they have already won their league title. Going back to the Avon game, they won their league titles as well. These are some very well-established programs here. But now here's also the funny thing. Now that Hoban has moved up to Division II, there's a good chance that maybe if everything were to work out in favor of itself, they could face each other in the state Final Four somewhere possibly. So, I would love to see these 2 programs. Obviously, you heard Avon is very efficient on offense, and Hoban right now sounds like they're also clicking, especially after that Week 1 loss to St. Ignatius, and haven't looked back since.
Spencer Davies is covering the Revere Bay game. We've seen a couple of highlights from this one. Spencer joins us on the phone. Spencer, how dominant do the Rockets look tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what. It's a very ground-heavy base game right now. Trey Pesota, 2 touchdowns, 47 yards. He's got like 11 carries at half. 5 different Rockets have gotten the ball out of the backfield in some way, so it seems like they're really trying that ground and pound style. The defense looks pretty sharp as well, but Revere is trying to keep staying in this game. Nate Klinowski with a 10-yard touchdown there midway through the second quarter, and then had a big stop before the half there, Brandon Tricano, when Connor Shell tried to hit one of his receivers in the corner of the end zone, broke it up, and then it resulted in a missed field goal. So it's 21-7 at half, and it's a pretty good game, and Revere seems like they're trying to stay into it.
Hey, Spencer, this is Nate. Bay doesn't give up too many points at all in the past, in the 8 weeks. So I'm just curious, how did Revere get on the board there?
Revere went on the board because there was a couple of big gains there by Matt Buser, one of their senior running backs. It seems like they got out on the open field a little bit. They had stopped Nick Klinowski's first 5 attempts passing, but he completed his last 2, and a couple of them for big gains. So a couple of big plays going down the field, and it really just set up a read option play for Klinowski to get into the end zone.
All right, Spencer Davies, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with Spencer. He is covering the Bay-Revere game. Bay leading 21-7, leading by 14 at half. Our Jeff Sabo is at the Hudson-Twinsburg game, and he joins us. Jeff, what's going on with the Tigers and the Explorers?
Well, we have a handy-dandy barn burner going on here at Twinsburg's Tiger Stadium. It was literally a tale of 2 quarters where Hudson dominated that first quarter. They got on the board very early on when Colt Pillay found Colin Paltini for an 18-yard touchdown catch. And then not too long after that, Twinsburg would go down, get a field goal. It was a 7-3 Hudson lead. And then on the ensuing kickoff, Dawson Worthy would take it over 70 yards into the end zone, and then Hudson would go up 14-3. Come second quarter, the Tigers, they definitely came out firing. Cameron McLean, he had a lot of key runs. That offensive line was really opening up a lot of holes for him. And then before you know it, James Bissett went in from about 20 yards out, bounced off of a defender, so to speak, went into the end zone. And then a couple drives later, Isaiah Savage, who actually really had some good catches and some key plays on that drive, he ended up going in from 28 yards out. And then before you know it, Twinsburg at that point was up 17-14. Hudson would manage to get the ball. They drove it down, and then they ended up getting a 36-yard field goal by Grant Gagne. And here we are at halftime, tied at 17.
What has Twinsburg's offense been able to do that has enabled them to get 17 points? You know, Hudson's defense usually pretty stout. What has Twinsburg been able to do in this one?
Well, Twinsburg, they've been able to get a lot of key plays, not only with Cameron McLean in the backfield, but also the wide receiver core. James Bissett, he's come up with a lot of key catches. And then Trey Radford, he's really come up with a lot of key catches as well. In the first quarter, what Twinsburg was really having trouble with was that they were getting within inside the 5-yard line, but they couldn't convert. However, second quarter, they were able to get some key runs out of Cameron McLean. They started swapping in both Seth Grabowski and Adam Vandemotter, and they were doing a lot of those read option plays to help move the ball up the field. And then they were just simplifying, just keep going to a lot of inside slants, getting a lot of first downs that way. And as a result, changing it up a little bit in the second quarter really helped get Twinsburg back in this football game.
All right, Jeff Sabo, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with Jeff at the Hudson and Twinsburg game. And Twinsburg beat Hudson last week and back at it again. Also joining us on the phone now from the Kirtland-Cuyahoga Heights game is Stephen Means. Stephen, your perspective of what's going on with the Hornets and the Redskins.
You know, this is a rivalry game, and so far it has lived up to that bidding. 16-14, Kirtland leads at the half. But this has pretty much been a back-and-forth affair with both teams using their ground game to, have success. And Cuyahoga Heights went to the pass a little bit in the second quarter, but twice this game, Kirtland has been able to stop big momentum drives from Cuyahoga Heights with interceptions. And they lost the lead for a little bit because of a block punt from Dylan Drummond, but regained the lead, as you can see, 16-14 at the half.
When you look at it, some of the things you think are going to be the key in the second half of this one?
To be honest with you, the big play is how both teams have scored. Not Becker has, like I said, an interception, but he also had, and then on the other side, DeRazio for Cuyahoga Falls has a 47-yard run for a touchdown. So it's really going to come down to who can make big plays in the second half and put points on the board.
Steven, when you look at Cuyahoga Heights, how have they kind of dealt with Kirtland and their, they run the ball with 3 or 4 different guys sometimes? How have they been able to deal with that?
They've kept it short. They've kept them about 2 or 3 yard runs at a time, 2 and 3 yard runs at a time, and haven't really allowed them to get out into the open space and have those big runs. And so that looks like that's been their goal, is to just keep the runs short. They know that there's going to be 3 or 4 different guys who could possibly touch the ball every time they have a possession. So just keeping it to short gain and trying to get 3 and outs.
Stephen Means, we appreciate the update on Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights. We will check back in with Stephen later in this one is halftime, and the field goal is the difference in that one, 16-14. We're at halftime for most of the games here in Week 9, the next to last week of the regular season. Playoff picture is taking shape. We're going to step aside and take a quick timeout. We will be right back on Friday Night Huddle along with Dan Lobby from Cleveland.com, Nate Cline from Cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. Friday Night Huddle. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
This city, this club stands with you.
Danger from Mira!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are 2 outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't-miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contepelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your Access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle. I'm Dave Bacon along with Dan Lobby and Nate Cline from Cleveland.com. Week 9 of high school football all across the Buckeye State, and one of the games we're tracking is Bedford taking on Lorain. The Bearcats fell behind 28-20, trailing. But hang on, here they come. Emmanuel Jenkins dumps it off to DeCarline Townsend. Oh, look at him go, breaking tackles. Look at the stiff arm. He's still on his feet. Townsend with the touchdown, and the point after was no good, so it's a 2-point lead for Lorain. And they're not at halftime yet. 28-26 the score. That one will definitely be a top play nominee for next week. What a run by DeCarline Townsend.
Shaking guys off. I thought he was just going to carry that one guy into the end zone with him. Impressive. Back in the game.
Do you think he was going to be denied of that touchdown?
Obviously not.
No. No, he was not going to be tied down for this play. No, I mean, man, just you saw some of the stiff arm work that he was doing to get that touchdown. But I mean, that's what Bedford's going to have to do against this Lorain team. They're going to have to fight for this win. So, man, it's turned out to a great game, and it's only the first half. So
you have one that says yes?
No.
Okay.
No.
I wasn't sure. I was just making sure.
So,
yeah,
great game.
Let's check in with Bryant Kizer, who is at the game. Bryant, you only get the crazy ones. What's going on?
I think the first one is 60. And it looked that way in the first half. I mean, first quarter was 28-8, but Bedford had ran off 18 straight points, and Lorain just came down and scored a 4-yard touchdown run by Dakota Mincy. And now it's 34-26, and we're getting ready for halftime.
So I got to ask you, do you dislike defense? Do you request the high-scoring games every week?
Oh, I love it, man. Especially when you had this guy named DeCarline Townsend go 60 yards. I mean, he just dragged one guy like 20 yards. They're like, get off of me, and still scored.
We actually just looked at that touchdown run, a couple of stiff arms and dragging people. What has enabled Bedford to get back in this?
They probably caught up to that speed what Lorain has, and interception that Sturgis did throw, it got Bedford right back in with momentum. You know, you're down 20, you're down by 20. You need a turnover, and they got that one back. Then they scored, and that's how it really got Bedford back into the ball game. Oh, and a fumble, and a late Savon, 40. He might not get there though. 30, and he was right out of bounds.
All right.
Just before the half ended. Woo!
Bryant Kizer at the Lorain Bedford game. We will check back in with Bryant as that approaches halftime. So, we saw the run by Townsend. The good news for Lorain is they answered with a short touchdown run to extend the lead back out from what was just 2.
Yeah, and man, what a game. I mean, I guess kind of what we expected between these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you would think. We've come to expect that. So,
yeah, and we're keeping Bryant busy. I don't know how he keeps stats, but I hope he's got like just a huge notebook of blank pages for this.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Every week he's going to the game that's the first one to 50, first one to 60 wins. So I just think he doesn't like defense.
Maybe.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah,
what is the sign?
Yeah, no. I'm always just very surprised just how he's able to at least call in, because there always seems to be something going on in that game. So even halftime, you know, he can't even spare a moment. So, but no, I mean, you know, this, you know, we talked about maybe 3 or 4 at least title games tonight that are going to come down to it. And this Lorain Bedford game, I mean, this is obviously one of those, and you can see why it's living up to that hype right now. So the question is now is just, you know, when is this game going to get a little bit closer? You know, obviously we saw that 28-26 lead that Lorain was still being able to hold. But now these defenses really have to say to themselves, we got to make a stop at some point in this game, and we're going to need to do it fast. So.
Well, something that always lives up to the hype, the top 15 plays. This is how you voted for them on Cleveland.com during the week. Our top 15 plays of the week. And checking in at number 15, the LaSalle Lancers. Their quarterback, Griffin Merritt, wants to throw. And he takes a shot, and a nice pass and a good grab by Jacob Seibert, 84 yards for the touchdown. 17-9, LaSalle beats St. Vincent St. Mary.
4th down on number 14. It's Piccowa's Austin Davis. He's going to connect with Hayden Shrub for 29 yards. Touchdown pass late in the 4th quarter. Piccowa wins 33-27.
At number 13, check out St. Vincent St. Mary's defense scoring a safety against LaSalle, the defending state champions here. Fighting Irish fell, though, 17-9 to the Lancers.
Number 12, Brush's Mitchell Kellogg gets the handoff through the hole, and Mitchell Kellogg turns it into a 34-yard touchdown run, 21-20. The Arcs beat Chardon.
Sam Bubonics comes in at number 11 for Solon. Clutch interception here for the Comets of Tadas Tatarunas, but Solon falls short 38-34.
In the upset game last week, check out number 10, Moeller's Colin Thurman scores from 73 yards out. Wow.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're not going to catch him.
Yeah.
Good guess.
Moeller won 41-20 against the St. Ignatius Wildcats.
I am a trained professional. Number 9, Brush's Bradford Eason. 2-point conversion. He says, not this time, Andrew Kobieski. That was the deciding stop in a 21-20 Arcs victory. That gave them the win.
Back to Solon and Menor Trayvon Raphael from 74 yards. Another big run here as one man to beat. He's going to beat him into the end zone. We're going to have even more from this game coming up a little bit later.
Check out number 7 here. Colt Hudson's Colt Pillay connects with Colin Paultini for an 11-yard touchdown pass. Look at him haul it in there. Explorers fell, though, 35-23 to the Stowe Bulldogs.
Speaking of Stowe, their talented running back, Terrian Ray, gets the handoff and then whoop, over the defender. That's a penalty. You can't do that in high school, but the Bulldogs won 35-23 over Hudson.
Number 5, it's Padua's Colin Pavlis. He's going to haul in a 23-yard touchdown pass from Drew Butler with one hand. Padua 31-17 winners over Benedictine.
All right, at number 4, Mentor's Magic Man, Tadas Tatarunas connects with Luke Floria for a, guess what, 44-yard touchdown pass. More from these two later.
Take a look at Menor again. Tatarunas to Logan Shea. Logan Shea fights. He's a DB. He throws the other DB away. Dives into the end zone for the touchdown. A nice job by Logan Shea. We're not done with Menor just yet.
Number 2 got 22% of the vote. Benedictine's Matthias Shimaluski. He's going to score on a 22-yard touchdown run. Number 2, 22% of the vote, 22-yard touchdown run. The Bengals, though, fall to Padua, 31-17.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at number 1 at 49%, check out Tatarunas with Floria right here for a 64-yard touchdown pass. Look at him go.
Directing traffic.
What? Menor won 38-34 against the Solon Comets. Take a look at that play one more time.
Oh, my. He had,
That's Mason, Andrew Mason, almost had the pick. And Floria said, thank you for collecting that for me. I don't know if I could have got that if you didn't deflect it.
It was like you picked up at the offering plate there, man. It was just waiting for
Sometimes the brakes just got to go your way.
So hashtag FNH for Friday Night Huddle's top play. Send us your top play. We'll use them. We'll put them online. You can go and vote on cleveland.com on the top play that you see. There'll be 15 of them, 16 of them. If you send more, there'll be more. So we will put them up online, cleveland.com, at about noon tomorrow. And you'll be able to vote until noon on Thursday. And then next Friday night, we'll tell you which were the top plays that you voted on. But again, hashtag FNH top plays if you have a play. We want to see it.
I'm very surprised by the voting this week. I thought Tyrion Ray's jump was really great.
Maybe we have a lot of rule-abiding voters.
That was a pretty good catch.
And definitely that touchdown pass with Menard sealed the win right there, where Flory was just fighting off the defender there. That was what won the game for them at the end. So I'm very surprised that the voters decided to go with them, not even at the top one. But, hats off, congratulations to the winner, though. But
that was pretty different as far as, the ball's bobbled and you grab it and you get in for the long. Come on, it's the flash.
Yeah, that was a bizarre. That's one of those plays that you don't see very often. So I think that's maybe why. And yeah, I mean the hurdle. That was fun to watch. But again, maybe our voters don't like flags.
It's okay. If you're a rebel, you should have voted for the hurdle. I said that last week, and I firmly believe it. The rebels voted for the hurdle. Now, I know it's dangerous, so before I get any tweets or any emails, I understand. I'm just kidding. Let's adjust to we didn't get a chance to talk a whole lot about the Bedford and Lorain game. So a nice job, Bedford, to climb back in it. But if you're Coach McFarland, you have to be happy that you put one on the board before halftime.
Now, here's something that goes against the behavior of both of these teams. They don't allow too many points per se, around maybe in the 17s and 20 points allowed. So that's why to see this game as far as it is right now in scoring, that's a very big surprise in this game. So, but obviously we saw early in the game, a couple turnovers here, a couple turnovers over there. That's what really impacted the game. But definitely taking care of the football in the second half is going to be key for both of these teams. And we're going to see if Lorain wants to defend their title and try to win it again this year, or is Bedford going to try to knock them off of that?
And sometimes you just get into these games where you just realize early on there's not going to be a lot of defense. And whatever it is, whether coaches find something to expose on the outside and they just attack it over and over again, whatever it is, you just get into these games where it's like, okay, this is going to come down to, can somebody force a turnover? Who's going to have the football last? And it's just going to be you score, we score. And that's how the game's going to go the rest of the night. And it sure feels like that's how this game is going to go here over the last 24 minutes of football.
Well, the other thing is both of them have playmakers on offense. I mean, big time playmakers. So that's another part of it, is just how quick they are, how talented they are, and how explosive they are on offense.
And man, this also has to get you really excited about the playoffs coming up, because right now I was actually checking here to make sure, but both of these teams control their destiny. And so to be able to see them getting ready for the playoffs here, man, you got to imagine what that first round, those first couple weeks are going to look like when these two teams have to step on the field. So
the other one is, Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights. That's a really interesting matchup. Kirtland's going to run. And we've heard Cuyahoga Heights, and we've seen Cuyahoga Heights is pretty big and physical, but they will mix the pass in. So the adjustments at halftime are going to be really interesting. And if you remember last year, it came down to Kirtland not converting on a fourth down and Cuyahoga Heights stopping Kirtland on a fourth down and turning the ball over. And it was something ridiculous, like an 8-minute drive that yielded no points. So they drove the ball for almost the entire quarter, 2/3, 3/4 of the quarter, and didn't get any points.
This is such a great game for a lot of reasons. Obviously, there's the rivalry, but this is also the game going in that is going to be the most challenging game on your schedule. If you're Kirtland, the Cuyahoga Heights is going to be the toughest team you play, and vice versa. So, I mean, you're geared up for this game. You know that when you get to this game, this is going to mean everything. And of course, Kirtland has been sitting on those 2 losses last year, including a loss in the playoffs. It'll be interesting. You know, I like to see the contrast. Kirtland's going to run. Well, they kind of run that trick play, which is a pass. Well, has Tiger Laverty been sitting on a pass play just for Cuyahoga Heights? Because this is, even though different divisions now, nobody's going home after this game, this is kind of like a playoff game. This has a playoff feel, and if you lose to your rival, it's a little bit of a stain on your season, no matter how it finishes.
Yeah. And both of these 2 teams, you know, make no mistake, they both have experience. But the Cuyahoga Heights, I really want to focus on here because last year in the state final, when they had to face Marion Local, I'm sure they remember that point when they were on that last drive and they couldn't be able to finish that and score it and even put themselves and try to win that game. So I'm pretty sure that they know that when they need to make stops, they know how to make stops. Same thing with Kirtland, but right now I wonder if we're ever going to go back to that point that they missed on earlier in the first half. But, you know, obviously every point is going to have to count in this game, and you got to be able to try to convert these drives.
Well, another game that we are tracking, Menor and Euclid, both in the top 8 and both likely in the Division I Region I playoffs. This one's about playoff positioning. Matt Gould is covering the game, and Matt files this report.
Everyone, this is Matt Goul for Friday Night Huddle in Cleveland.com, coming from Jerome T. Osborne Stadium, where we are at halftime with Euclid up 22-21. And if you've seen the highlights so far, Drayvon Lindsay has been the show for the Panthers. 3 touchdown catches for the transfer from Garfield Heights. You might remember him. He was a standout as a sophomore last year for the Bulldogs. Here at Euclid now, and he is doing some major damage to that Menor secondary. I'll rattle off some stats for you. 6 catches, 175 yards. You probably saw all 3 touchdowns here on my Twitter feed, and he had another spectacular grab late in the half, but Euclid could not punch it in going downfield, got to about the 30 or so, looking for more. That's where we're at, 22-21 halftime. Of course, Euclid went for 2 on its first possession. Ronald Lees had a nice game rushing for the Panthers, 17 carries, 72 yards. Of course, Aubrey Shabazz, who is in for injured C.J. Hale at quarterback, he's had a nice night as well. An efficient 10 of 14 for 222 yards for the senior quarterback. Also a transfer. He was at Villangelo St. Joe's last year. So some new guys are making some big differences here for Euclid in this Greater Cleveland Conference title matchup. And as for Menor, in case you're wondering, Tadas Tatarunas, 7 of 13 for 129 yards at the half. Chris Edmond has picked it up as of late, 11 carries for 56 yards. In total, Mentor, 239 yards of offense. Euclid, 304 on the left arm of Aubrey Shabazz and the sure hands of Mr. Drayvon Lindsay. We'll be getting ready to go for the second half in a little bit. Thanks for watching. I'm Matt Goul for Cleveland.com and Friday Night Huddle.
All right, so a 1-point lead for Euclid, and Drayvon Lindsay getting it done with 3 touchdown receptions.
Yeah, and Euclid just showing that, again, we talked about the weapons. You know, so you move Aubrey Shabazz to quarterback, got to have some folks step up on the outside, and that's what's happened there. Just still have that downfield passing attack. And when you have Ronald Lee, too, I mean, that helps. That guy has just put up video game numbers this season. This is a big game for Euclid. They haven't clinched yet, and they might still have a chance to maybe get a home playoff game, depending on how things shake out. And beating Menor would be a step in the right direction there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would bump them up a spot or 2 for certain.
Yeah.
But yeah, if one of these teams can try to space themselves out here with the passing game, you know, we have a bunch of guys that they, you know, Menor and Euclid both have running backs that can be able to just stretch this game out, you know, down the stretch here. But right now the key is just trying to get a little bit of distance from their opponent right now. And also, you know, they want this title as well, and they want a good playoff spot as well. But yeah, heck of a game already so far.
You know, a lot of good games tonight. I mean, Perry is really hanging with Canton McKinley. McKinley scored late in the half to push it back to a 10-point lead. And then the Perry Panthers moving the ball effectively early in the third quarter. So they're trying to get it back in from that 10-point deficit. So a very good, an interesting matchup. Let's actually look into that game as a couple of quick first downs and a big run for Perry. So as we look in, it's now 2nd down and 8. And there is our man again running behind the pulling back that time. Is a nice run by Curtis Jaron. And that's that wing T, is you get the back out blocking, and there is a nice run.
That's what Perry's going to do. I mean, they're not going to get out of character. They've thrown it around a little bit in this game. They've thrown it around a little bit at the end of the half because time is running short. But they're going to be they're not going to play out of character. They're going to be who they are no matter the situation.
So there's another look at Curtis, and fighting forward and gets down near the 10-yard line. So Jaron Curtis, the workhorse. Baker, their quarterback, is also effective running the football as well. Max Baker was the kid that really did the damage in the state semifinals last year for the Perry Panthers. So Panthers, you know, they're winning the battle up front. They want to be in. They're at 2nd and 5. And wing T, if you get to 2nd and 7, 2nd and 5, you're in good shape. And there's another one of the misdirections. That time it's Richard Coleman, and he's inside the 5. See where they spot him down. He's close to the 1st down, and he did get it. It's 1st and goal.
Yeah, one point key player that I was looking for in this game during some of these plays is Josh Chandler, their linebacker for McKinley. You know, he's been a force for them, but lately he's been out because of a knee injury.
He's in there.
Yeah.
It's number 1.
Yeah.
They ran away from him.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Got upended on that play.
So 1st and goal from just outside the 5-yard line for the Panthers, trying to draw to within 3. Again, Perry trying to secure that 8th spot in Division I, Region 1. And there it is. There's the touchdown. Is carrying in is Jaron Curtis. So a point after, away from being just a 3-point deficit, is the Perry Panthers getting it done.
Yeah,
that's an impressive drive to start the 3rd quarter. Exactly what they needed. You know, Canton McKinley went down and scored with less than a minute left in the half, and that can sometimes be deflating. Panthers come right out with that first drive.
And, I mean, you nailed it. You get to 2nd and 5. You stay on schedule, or you stay ahead of schedule. And that allows you to continue to run that wing T, you know, run that misdirection. And here they are, 17-14, right back in the football game.
Yeah, I mean, that play is just a very good reason why we're talking about Perry in the playoffs right now. But just I think the one thing for me is just that, considering that they had to move up a division from Division II to 1 this year, just how impressive how they've been able to handle that responsibility. So, yeah, Perry, I mean, right now they're closing in on the lead. McKinley's got to think now, what are they going to do when they step on the field now? Curtis on Perry's side is helping them, but then you also got Curtis on the other side, a quarterback from McKinley, who's going to have to come up with an answer for the Bulldogs.
Well, another game that we are keeping our eye on, Bay taking on Revere. Rockets with a 21-7 lead in the 3rd quarter, but Revere comes back. Klinowski to Holt, and he dives in. No signal yet. Everybody's signaling but the referee. There it is, there touchdown, 21-14.
Delayed response there.
You had to make sure.
Checking everything out.
They were waiting for the iPad to come out, the Surface tablet to get a look at. Just kidding. 21-14.
Hanging around.
Yeah, seven points down now.
Yeah, the Minutemen coming into this game with a 2-6 record. It's highly unlikely that they might make the playoffs, but right now they're kind of fighting for that. You know, they're trying to get that win at home tonight against the Rockets. But Bay, you know, I'm sure they're going to have to sit back and say, okay, well, what do we have to do next to try to get some more points on the board? But Revere, you know, just a good sign here in Week 9. Just see them be able to compete with the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really going to be able to play spoiler necessarily. Bay is, you know, right on path to make the playoffs and be in a good position in the playoffs. But if you can finish your season sitting at 2-6, finish with a couple wins to end the year, you can at least feel good about yourself going into the offseason.
Another game that we are tracking, Cuyahoga Heights and Kirtland. Kirtland with a 16-14 lead in the 3rd quarter, and the Hornets offense back at it. Little double reverse, and Torek has it. Joey Torek running down the sidelines, and he steps out of an ankle tackle and into the end zone. But the Hornets missed the point after a game. So it is 22-14.
Stays a one-score
Stays a
game.
one-score game, and now a two-point conversion, touchdown, and a two-point conversion. We're tied up for Cuyahoga Heights.
Dan, were you surprised by that? I mean, were you confused on that play?
They're always confused.
I had to double check. I was like,
the Hornet, that looked like a broken play. That really did.
It's always confusing watching the Hornets. You just are never sure who has the football. You got to have your binoculars out. You got to be on that football, or you're not going to know who has it.
Yeah, I mean, really, it looked kind of bunched up, like they weren't on the same page, and they obviously knew that what they were doing, and that was by design. It was a double reverse, and Torek ends up with the 54-yard touchdown run that now makes it an 8-point Kirtland lead.
Yeah, and those extra points coming back to haunt the Hornets a little bit, because you could have been up 9. Now you're up 8.
You could have been up 10.
Could have been up 10, yeah.
That's 2.
That could make a difference here if Cuyahoga Heights has an opportunity to get this game tied.
So, again, Kirtland goes up by a score of 22-14 early in the third quarter. And, you know, the bad news now for Cuyahoga Heights is if you don't score, if you don't keep up with Kirtland, they're just going to keep running the football. And then it becomes incumbent on your defense to stop them. It's not uncommon for Kirtland to put 7, 8, 9-minute drives together.
And then, they'll love to do that against their rival. Just bleed that clock, make that game short. The next thing you know, you look up, there's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You're still down 9 or 10 points.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier. You know, I'm sure that Kirtland came in this game, and even though they probably didn't want to talk about it, they knew that they lost twice last year to Cuyahoga Heights, and they did not want to take another loss in week 9. So, you know, right now Kirtland is doing what it needs to, but again, we're just wondering, are those points that are going to come back to them? Is that going to bite them later? And they should have, you know, be able to convert those. So,
first half of games, what do you find the most interesting? Which ones really have piqued you? There's a number of them in this one that are really kind of interesting. Dan,
we always do this. We always do this. You go right in, Dan.
Well, I mean, Lorain Bedford has been a blast, right?
Absolutely.
Getting up and down, scoring a ton. Implications in that game, you know, across the board. I think we don't talk a lot about, you know, Region 2, but that's been a really entertaining game.
I think for me, I'm kind of a tossed-up, but right now I'm probably focused on this Greater Cleveland Conference matchup between Mentor and Euclid. You know, Euclid, considering the last couple of weeks they lost their quarterback, C.J. Hale, and then Aubrey Shabazz steps in and is leading the squad right now, and very, you know, I think that's probably the big one for me, and especially Euclid. I mean, just considering their history over the last few years, to be able to be in this position where you can lock up your title, you know, that's a heck of a job by the Panthers. So I think that's probably right now the first half that's probably, you know, caught my attention.
You know, the game that surprises me somewhat is the Perry and Canton McKinley game. Now, I thought Perry would hang around a little bit. I didn't think they would make it as interesting as they are. The challenge with the wing tee is you can't simulate the speed at which they run it. And basically what that offense tries to do is it tries to get you to over-pursue. And if you get out of your lane or miss your assignment by a little, it makes you pay with big runs repeatedly. And if they see you're overplaying to the right, they run to the left. And if you overplay to the left, they're going to move you a little further. So they just keep kind of moving the way they block you is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, they know how to run it. They've been doing it since, you know, some of these guys have been doing it for years and years, but they've obviously been doing it this year since, you know, the end of July, early August. These guys know what they're doing every single snap. If you're trying to simulate that in practice, you're not going to be able to.
No, that's why this offense is so successful, and that's why some of the, you know, Valley Forge has gone to it, and they're still very young in it. But in Perry, they run it in their youth system. So they've been running it since they're 8 years old. So they really understand it, and that's what you need to do to have the success that Massillon Perry has done. Another game that we are keeping our eye on is the Parma Rocky River game. Rocky River leading Parma 30-6, and that Pirate offense just trying to take some more. Finnegan to throw, rolls out, hit as he throws, and puts it right on the money as Sharp grabs it 18 yards for the touchdown. And Rocky River opening up a big lead on Parma as they lead 37-6. Pirates, pretty impressive pass there as Finnegan got hit as he threw and still put it right on target.
Rocky River's trying to fight for a playoff spot. I mean, right now they're on the bubble as well. They're playing behind a university school and a Bay Rockets team that we were just talking about earlier. So the Rockets need to pull off a win here. They probably need to win. Just need to win out the rest of these next couple of weeks here. But so far, great job for Rocky River right now, putting some more points on the board. But this is an important game for the Pirates.
If you're Rocky River, you've lost to 8-0 Buckeye, 8-0 Bay.
Good team, good
Lakeside,
team.
Lakeside is 4-4, and that's their only other loss. So you've lost to only good teams. You can score a bunch of points. So, and like you said, I think they're 9th right now in Region 10. So they've got an opportunity to try and get into the playoffs, but they've got to win out against Parma and then Elyria Catholic, something they should, in theory, be able to do, and then you kind of see what happens.
Yeah, and some of the teams ahead of them, I mean, they're kind of in a good position right now where they are, and it's hard to kind of believe that they're going to probably lose their next couple of games here. We were talking about Bay, and we were talking about even Glenville, who was actually number 8 as well. But Rocky River, all they can do is just try to win as many games as hopefully something falls in their way.
And the good news here is you're playing up at least. You're playing a Division II team, so you get a little bit of a boost if you beat them, and then maybe Parma can help you out next week with a win. You're going to be dependent on other teams helping you, but at least give yourself a chance.
Well, we keep tracking the Cuyahoga Heights and Kirtland game as long touchdown run by Kirtland opened up an 8-point lead. Cuyahoga Heights with the football trying to answer. And Ryan Polk, little pump fake. Then he goes up top. Tyler Hughes. And they beat him behind. Touchdown. And a long touchdown at that. But Cuyahoga Heights misses the 2-point conversion after that 64-yard touchdown pass. So it remains a 22-20 lead third quarter. But that's huge for Cuyahoga Heights because it takes let's just pound the clock into submission running game out of the equation for Kirtland. They have to be concerned about putting points on the board, which is when Kirtland doesn't have to worry about putting points on the board, the clock seems to go bye-bye awfully quick.
So the question in situations like this is, should you have chased the points there? Or should you have taken that extra point, been down by 1? Chase the points, or should they kick?
I'm probably going to chase the points there. I'm probably going to chase the points, especially against a team that knows you so well that you guys play chess with each other. You probably see each other in the same grocery store. You're going to chase the points in this matchup. So, but we talked about it. I mean, this is going to be a tight game. So, I'm just really excited to see how this is going to play out in the end. So,
I think if you look at it, what's the difference between 1 and 2?
Yeah.
The challenge would be if they kick the point after and make it, then it pushes it to 9. Do they go for 2? Because they've missed 2 now.
Yeah, they've had some issues.
They've missed 2-point afters. They have made a field goal, which that's kind of like, okay. But, that's – so, yeah, the other thing is you want to get in this game, I'm sure you probably feel like you can – get in from 2 yards out and get the 2-point conversion. There's as good a chance as
you're probably sitting on some 2-point plays that you think, okay, you know what, this is going to work against this team, and maybe it just didn't.
And I'm sure the coaches, Al Martin's got to be pretty excited. Hey, they were able to get a touchdown pass off by that many yards. So if you need to pull something out of your back pocket, you have it with your quarterback there. So, but yeah, 2 points down. Got plenty of time to try to wrap this game up. So.
Let's switch gears for a minute. We're going to take a look as Euclid and Men are doing battle, a close game. We heard Matt Goul's report. And here is Aubrey Shabazz, little reverse pivot, and he throws to Nick Rice, and he heads down the numbers and into the end zone for the touchdown. As Nick Rice, the touchdown reception. And Nick Rice is now the backup quarterback as well. So Euclid just keeps putting those backup quarterbacks in there as wide receivers, and they keep delivering. So 29-21, Euclid leading by 8. Let's check in as Bedford and Lorain doing battle. You see Lorain 34-26, And Bedford in the red zone. Wilkins, oh, he's going to get into the end zone. Let's see, no signal yet. It was pretty close.
Oh, he was getting stood up there.
He got in. He got in. Come on, give it to him.
How could you not see
And
those gloves?
he did get in, I believe.
How could you not see those gloves get across the end zone?
Making sure here. Yeah, they're spotting it for the point after. So 34-32, and it looks like the Bearcats will in fact go for 2. And trying to tie this thing up, third quarter.
It's big.
Climb all the way back into this game. I mean, if you're Bedford after the start you got off to.
So Stone and Wilkins are the backs. Direct snap, and Stone will lead the way for Wilkins, and that's easy. He made the 2-point conversion look easy there, and we're tied at 34. So that one shaping up to be a pretty good one coming down to the wire in the third quarter.
I think one of the things that I'm impressed by the position of the Bearcats right now is just being able to, weather the storm in that early in the first half where you gave up a couple turnovers there. And now, look, you've tied up the game, and right now Lorain has probably got to sitting there thinking to themselves, what do we have to do next to be able to stop this team? Because it looks like they're on a roll.
Aaron Stone, I mean, they list him at 5'10", 190. I don't know about that. He looks bigger. I mean, he bowled ahead for Kenny Wilkins there, lining Wilkins up for the direct snap. He had a touchdown return against Maple Heights, a 93-yard touchdown return on defense, plays both ways. So he's kind of a key cog to that Bedford machine. Maybe doesn't get all the headlines because he's not running the ball as much as Wilkins, and he's not playing quarterback, but he's pretty important to what they do.
Yeah, I mean the Wilkins direct snaps, that's just let's get an extra guy out blocking so that our main guy can have somebody leading him. That's good luck stopping that with Stone leading the way.
I mean, he made it look easy. He made that run look easy.
Yeah, I'd be tempted to throw that in every once in a while because that'll draw people into the box, and then it gives your playmakers a little bit of space as well. So. A nice job by the Bearcats. Things did not start out well as they turned the ball over inside the red zone, and then Lorain scored, and then they threw a pick 6. And to get that back to even, all of a sudden Lorain's got to be going, ooh.
Yeah, it's essentially a scoreless game again. You're essentially back where you started. You've obviously been getting some stops defensively because you were down 20-8. So now you're back at 34 all. Now it's just a matter of, okay, give the ball back to Lorain, get a stop, and now you can get yourself back in control. That's considering the start they got off to with the turnovers. A fumble in the red zone and then a pick 6. Here you are at 34-34. Lots of time left in this football game.
Well, you mentioned in the red zone, Kirtland is back in the red zone. We've got a lot of scoring going on in Week 9. Kirtland trying to answer as they're actually inside the 10-yard line, 2nd down and 2 for the Hornets. And they are trying to push that lead back. That's stacked eye. And they go to the middle back, which is Jake Nybecker, and he doesn't get into the end zone, but it looks like he's got plenty for the first down. So 1st and goal from the 2-yard line, and you have to like Kirtland. Kirtland has to like this.
Four shots to get 2 yards.
This is playing right into what they do.
Yeah, and when they get in the red zone, they're just so difficult to defend. I feel like they've been in the red zone all night based off the highlights we've been watching.
Al Martin probably does too, the coach for Cuyahoga Heights. And no signal yet. And yes, he is in fact into the end zone for the touchdown. And that will push the lead to 28-20. Be interesting to see what the Hornets do. It looks like the field goal kicker has come out. The point after, looks like they're going to go for 1 and not for 2.
Try to get it to 9 points, or maybe you go for 2 and make it a 10-point game. But like you said, it looked like they were going to kick the extra point.
I think the song of the night, and you can help me finish this statement, but the song is anything you can do.
I can do better.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what teams are doing right now. They're just exchanging with scores right now, and this Cuyahoga Heights and Kirtland game is not immune to that. So, Obviously, it looks like Kirtland's going to go up a little bit further ahead, put some more points on the board. Now, Cuyahoga Heights, they need to make a few stops here down the stretch here.
And they did, in fact, get the point after, so it's 29-20, which makes it a two-score game. So, makes sense to kick the point after.
Yeah. And again, to go back to chasing points, you do think about that decision a little bit to go for 2 instead of 1. It's hindsight because they didn't get it, but you do think about that a little bit.
We are going to step aside and take a quick timeout as games are midway through that third quarter here in Week 9. We will follow them through the home stretch along with Dan Lobby and Nate Cline from Cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. You're watching Friday Night Huddle. We'll be right back.